Part 17. Super God System Becomes Infinitely Stronger. Author, Shu Xiangzike. Chapter 161. Humph. You are such a young boy, but you are so arrogant. If you didn't have your father, I would really like to ask you to step down. A white-bearded old man in the audience looked at Fu Qinli and spoke with disdain, as if the Lord of Bo City, who was so high in the eyes of everyone, was not worth mentioning in his eyes. This person was Yang Xiao, who came with Chu Weiwei. Fu Qinli's words also made the faces of several principals on the judges' bench look bad. After all, Fu Qinli's words were really arrogant. But after all, it was someone else's territory, and the other party was stronger than himself, so no one could say anything. However, the crowd in the audience exclaimed one after another. Most of them were locals in Bo City. Seeing the Lord of Bo City speak so toughly, they certainly felt proud. Okay, without further ado, I declare now that the joint school competition officially begins. As Fu Qinli finished his last sentence, the competition venue below immediately began to boil. The competition has finally begun. So nervous? That's right, I hope today's opponent is not too strong. Yes. The students in the Taiyuan City School competition zone began to discuss. The students in Taiyuan City have long been accustomed to being the last, so the students who came to register had no fighting spirit at all, except Chu Wei, of course. Hey, isn't this the junior from Taiyuan City? Why do you all look listless? Even if you have to lose, you have to be able to afford it. The person from Dongshi College next to him spoke up. The presidents of Dongshi College and Taiyuan City College are not on good terms with each other, so of course the students are also competing with each other. Humph. Ignore them. The students from Taiyuan City who participated in the competition simply ignored them and did not refute them. Anyway, they were not the opponents of the other party, so they spoke less to avoid humiliating themselves. Haha. Look, Taiyuan City is the same every year, all cowards who dare not even speak. Ah! They really have no blood at all. Among the students in Taiyuan City, Chu Wei looked at the group of people opposite Dongshi School, and after a glance, Chu Wei shook his head. The combat power of this group of people is a group of 5 scum. The strongest among them is a person with a level 1 ability, and the other party's breath is unstable. It is estimated that he has not entered this realm for a long time. If I slap this group of people, I am afraid they will kneel on the ground. Chu Wei was too lazy to argue with them at the moment, and he would just press them to the ground and rub them when he met them in the competition later. Now the first item of the competition, refining. Please ask the students from each school to participate in the refining competition to stand up and go to the center of the venue to make the final preparations. The host of the competition shouted loudly on the field with a loudspeaker. Then the students from each school who participated in the refining competition walked into the venue one by one. There were 8 schools participating in the competition, so 8 forging furnaces were placed on the field, one for each school representative. When the students from each school walked to their forging furnaces, the competition was ready. Chu Wei took a look at the forging furnace in front of him. It was a gray forging furnace. This forging furnace was relatively low level at first glance, far from the high-end golden forging furnace he got from Lin Qianyuan last time. Even the red forging furnace that Chu Wei won in the first bet with Lin Wei was more advanced than these gray forging furnaces. Super God System Becomes Infinitely Stronger. Author, Shu Xiangzike. Chapter 162. After looking at the forging furnace, Chu Wei took a look at some materials placed next to the forging furnace. These materials were all first-order animal bones and the like, and they were all relatively low level. You must know that Chu Wei is now a peak second-level weapon refiner. Chu Wei can see the details of any material within the first or second level at a glance. Chu Wei looked at these materials and shook his head helplessly. Since I became a refiner, I am afraid that the most rubbish materials I have ever seen are the materials I saw in this competition. Wow, look, are these the teeth of a mutated snake? Compared with Chu Wei's expression of disgust, He Feng, the weapon refining representative of Dongxi school next to him, looked at the materials in front of him with excitement. It seems to be true. It's really the teeth of the mutated serpent. This mutated serpent must be a first-level mutant beast. This is equivalent to a master of the first-level superpower level. Its teeth can definitely make first-level equipment. Yes. It seems we can show off our skills this time. Representatives from several other schools also looked at the half-meter-long, scimitar-like snake fangs and began to discuss. Many of them are not even first-level weapon refiners, and the weapons they usually forge in school are basically not even first-level, so they rarely have access to materials that can forge first-level weapons. After all, the materials for first-level weapons are relatively precious in every school. Even teachers cannot waste such materials at will, let alone students like them. That's why they are so excited. Chu Wei looked at their expressions calmly and shook his head. The precious material in their eyes was simply bullshit in his own eyes. If he hadn't agreed to the principle, with his status as a second-level weapon refiner, it would have been an insult for this kind of material to appear in front of him. At this moment, he felt that he was simply beating them up and beating them violently when playing with them, and there was no suspense at all. Now everyone is in your positions. The competition time is 1 hour. The weapon refining competition has officially begun. As the host shouted loudly, the weapon refining competition officially began. Students from several participating schools immediately opened the forging furnace in front of them and put various materials in. At the same time, spiritual energy surged, and a raging fire immediately ignited in the forging furnace, and the forging had begun. In addition to these students, there were students from several other schools who were at a loss when looking at the materials in front of them. Obviously, their forging level is inferior, so they are still considering what weapons to forge. Come on! Come on! There were bursts of cheers from the surrounding auditorium. Come on, Senior He Feng! Come on, Senior! Senior is number 1. The other contestants from Dongxi School shouted loudly, but it was not their time to take the stage yet. Come on, Senior Gale! Come on, Senior Nankin! Come on, Senior Dadu! Students from other schools also enthusiastically cheered for the students from their own school who participated in the weapon refining competition. The whole scene was a lively scene. Of course, except for one school, that is Taiyuan City's Yuyuling Academy. At this moment, no one from the Taiyuan City Spiritual Training Academy was cheering for Chu Wei, and even Mo Kongxiu didn't cheer for Chu Wei. Because they saw that players from other schools were already working hard on refining their weapons, while Chu Wei, their representative from Taiyuan City, was still frozen in place as if nothing was wrong. This makes them how to cheer. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God System becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 163. Chu Wei, who was in the competition venue, looked at the other students around him, watching them throw materials into the forging furnace one by one. Looking at their unfamiliar techniques. Looking at their inferior forging methods. Chu Wei couldn't help but shake his head secretly. His opponents were really a bunch of rookies among rookies. Chu Wei was not in a hurry to forge. As a king, he had to watch the rookies' performance quietly. Chu Wei was calm, but the people in the judges' seats and the audience began to talk about Chu Wei's performance at this moment. Zhang Cheng, the principal of Dongxi, who was in the judges' seats, looked at Long Fang with a smile and said, "I say, Lao Fang, what's the matter with this refining representative of your school? The competition has started for a long time, and he hasn't moved at all. Could it be that this student was found by you to fill in the numbers? Longfang looked at Chu Wei below. Longfang had a calm face. He knew the ability of Chu Wei, the evildoer. Those who dared to look down on him usually had no good end. Even those who were in the Awakener realm would fall into Chu Wei's hands. He had 10,000 confidence in Chu Wei. Zhang Cheng, who was standing next to him, looked at Longfang's calm expression with doubts. Does this old Fang have any trump card? But no matter what, my Dongxi Academy is probably going to win the first place in the weapon refining. In Zhang Cheng's eyes, he saw that He Feng, the weapon refining representative of Dongxi Academy, was the best performer on the field. He Feng kept throwing materials into the forging furnace, and the flames in the forging kept churning. He saw that the general shape of the weapon was about to be forged by He Feng. Moreover, He Feng had a confident face, and his operation skills also made the audience around him cheer again and again. Is this student from Dongxi Academy? Yes. You can tell by the word Dongxi on his chest. It looks like he is a first-class weapon refiner. Well, being able to reach the level of a first-class weapon refiner at this age is considered a genius even in our NATO city. I think this boy must be the leader in the weapon refinery world in their small place Dongxi. Hey, look, the student from Taiyuan City doesn't seem to move at all, someone in the audience noticed Chu Wei. Really, this student from Taiyuan City is too weak. You see, even if the students from other colleges are not as good as the student from Dongxi College, they have all started forging. Only the student from Taiyuan City is not moving. Hey, you know the people from Taiyuan City College? They are always at the bottom every year. It is normal for such a useless student to appear. Hearing that the people in the audience were all optimistic about Dongxi College, Zhang Cheng smiled smugly and said to Longfang next to him. Old Fang, you really don't have a good eye for students. Look at your weapon refining representative. He was scared by He Feng from Dongxi and didn't dare to forge and make a fool of himself, did he? However, Longfang smiled lightly. I think you will soon know how naive you are. At this moment, Longfang had already seen Chu Wei on the competition field start to move. Zhang Cheng frowned. He followed Longfang's eyes and saw Chu Wei who had just started forging. At a glance, Zhang Cheng's eyes were shocked. Chu Wei, who he thought was incapable of forging, was now throwing materials into the forging furnace with a dazzling speed. Chu Wei threw materials without blinking, one after another. His skillful technique was like that of a veteran who had been refining tools for many years. Even the refining teachers in their academy could not reach this level. Super God system becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 164. On the field, Chu Wei's forging technique was getting faster and faster. He controlled the flame in the forging furnace with one hand and kept throwing materials into the furnace. The characteristics of each material, the temperature required for each material, and the forging method of each material. All of this was clear to Chu Wei. It can be said that even the fifth-level refiner Bai Tiansheng, who was famous throughout the East Union, was not as good as Chu Wei in forging a first-level weapon, let alone the group of student rookies on the scene. Because Chu Wei's knowledge of refining was directly instilled into him by the system, whether it was techniques or knowledge, the system gave Chu Wei the best. The outline of the weapon in Chu Wei's forging furnace gradually took shape. Then the weapon parts and weapons were opened. The weapon cooled down, and a long sword would soon appear in front of everyone. Chu Wei's skilled forging technique not only stunned the audience, but also made the students from other colleges participating in the competition around the field stare straight. Bang! The sound of a furnace exploding suddenly sounded on the competition field. Everyone looked and saw that it was He Feng, a contestant from Dongxi College, who was extremely shocked when he saw Chu Wei's weapon refining skills. He ignored his forging furnace for a moment, so the weapon forged in his forging furnace was directly exploded by him. Haha, Longfang on the judges laughed out loud. I don't know who said just now that our Taiyuan City's weapon refining representative was so scared that he dared not show his ugliness after seeing He Feng's weapon refining skills. Now it seems that when our Taiyuan City's weapon refining representative made a move, He Feng was so scared that his furnace exploded. Hey! The psychological quality of your Dongshi College students needs to be strengthened. Zhang Cheng's face flushed, and he was angry, but he couldn't find a word to refute. He said immediately, don't be complacent, even if you win the weapon refining competition, there are still 4 competitions, and your Taiyuan City will still be at the bottom. Longfang smiled, let's wait and see. The results of the weapon refining competition came out soon. The first place was Chu Wei without any suspense. Chu Wei casually used these garbage materials to forge a first-level superior weapon, a giant long sword. Such strength does not need to be compared at all. Because his weapon refining level is enough to teach as a teacher. Too amazing, this weapon refining representative of Taiyuan City turned out to be a king. That's right, it turns out that he had been watching those bronzes perform silently before. Yes, with his weapon refining level, how can he be a student? Even the teachers of ordinary colleges are not as good as him. I am afraid that only the weapon refining teachers in our NATO city can be as good as him. Too amazing, really a genius. Chu Wei's outstanding weapon refining performance directly set off a wave of comments at the entire scene. It can be said that Chu Wei opened the heat as soon as the joint school competition appeared. But they would never have thought that Chu Wei's performance today was just casual. If they knew that Chu Wei was a second-level peak refiner, they would probably have directly announced Chu Wei as the first place. The next competition item was alchemy. I saw several forging furnaces on the field descend from the field to the ground, and then 8 alchemy furnaces for alchemy rose from the ground. As before, after the host of the competition shouted "Get ready," the alchemists representing each college began to walk towards the field. Super God system becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 165. After a fierce competition, the first place in the medicine refining competition was won by Zhang Bufan from Nanshan College. It is rumored that the best thing about Nanshan College is medicine refining, because their principal is a peak second-level medicine refining master, so for so many years, no matter which year, the first place in the medicine refining competition has always been from Nanshan College. And this time there was no surprise, the first place was theirs. Of course, there was another place that was no surprise, and that was the 8th place. The 8th place in this medicine refining has always been the last place of Taiyuan City College, and this time it was also the 8th place of the contestant from Taiyuan City. As a result, the audience likes to discuss Taiyuan City College more, because Chu Wei, who was so outstanding in the first game of refining, gave the audience a surprise. However, in the second game of refining medicine, it fell directly to the bottom, and the original first place was directly ranked 5th. Each competition item has a maximum of 20 points and a minimum of 0 points. Chu Wei scored a full score of 20 points in the first item of refining. However, the second game of refining medicine was 0 points, and the 2 games were added together, so the Taiyuan City College, which was originally ranked 1st, was ranked 5th. After the medicine refining project, the formation carving project came. This project, like the first weapon refining competition, reached a climax, because there had never been a first-level formation carving master in the previous competition. It was always some students who knew some superficial knowledge of formation carving. But this time it was different, because Dongshi College actually had a student named Mo Fu, who actually reached the level of a first-level junior formation carving master. This result almost directly exploded the entire audience, and everyone was discussing Mo Fu enthusiastically. Because it is too difficult to become a formation carving master, there will be no first-level formation carving master teachers in the Spiritual Cultivation Academy in a small town. Even if there are teachers, they only know some superficial knowledge of formation carving, and the powerful ones can make a formation. But they can never reach the level of a first-level formation carving master. Even in a city of some size like NATO, the most powerful formation carving master in the city is only at the first-level intermediate level. Therefore, the performance of the student named Mo Fu in carving arrays can only be described as amazing. In time, when this student grows up, he will definitely become a powerful array carving master. Haha, Longfang, don't think that Chu Wei, a peak first-level weapon refiner, can defeat our Dongshi College in Taiyuan City. You see, Mo Fu of our college is so outstanding. Zhang Cheng saw that people in the audience were discussing Mo Fu's affairs and began to feel proud. At the same time, Zhang Cheng's eyes secretly swept to the principals of other schools in the judges' seats, and saw that these principals all looked jealous of him for having a good student. At that moment, Zhang Cheng's heart was full of joy, and then he said, "Old Fang, how about Mo Fu of our college? A first-level array carving master. I have thought about it. After the competition is over, I will apply to the Nanjing Array Carving Masters Association. I hope that such an outstanding student like Mo Fu can enter the Nanjing Array Carving Masters Association. By then, he will definitely become an excellent array carving master." "Oh, not bad," Longfang commented casually. Then he looked at Chu Wei in the crowd with a smile on his face. "What's a first-level junior engraver? You know, this monster in my academy is a first-level peak engraver. Is it amazing that Mo Fu can apply to the Nanjing Engravers Union? You know, this monster in my academy is a second-level engraver who was recommended to the president of the Nanjing Engravers Union as an entry-level disciple. Can you compare with Mo Fu? Am I proud of having such an outstanding student? No." At the moment, Longfang was too lazy to pay attention to Zhang Cheng, his old rival for many years. With Chu Wei around, Longfang was very calm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God System becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 166. Even though after this game, the overall score ranking of their Taiyuan city has become 7th, he must not panic. Because after the 8 events today, all the rankings are only temporary. After today's ranking is over, the ranking challenge will start tomorrow. The so-called ranking challenge means that as long as someone from a certain academy questions the results of students from other academies, or thinks that he is stronger than the other party, he can challenge the other party and re-rank them. For example, Chu Wei is the first in refining today, but if someone is dissatisfied with Chu Wei tomorrow, he can challenge Chu Wei. If the challenge is successful, then the 20 points Chu Wei got today will become someone else's. This is the challenge. Longfang smiled and looked at Chu Wei in the crowd. He knew Chu Wei's strength best. Even if their Taiyuan City's Yuyuling Academy ranked 8th in today's competition, what would it matter? Tomorrow, as long as this monster goes to challenge, he will beat the first place in other events. The so-called genius of Mo Fu Zhen can only give up to Chu Wei obediently at that time. Time passed little by little. Next, the physical competition and the supernatural power battle competition all came to an end. The result of the game was similar to what Longfang expected. In the next 2 games, their Taiyuan City's Yuyuling Academy was completely defeated. And the ranking dropped from the first place at the beginning to the 8th place. After the game, all the students returned to the hotel under the leadership of the principal. Chu Wei and others had just arrived at the door of the hotel under the leadership of Longfang. A very cool spiritual sports car drove over. This very cool spiritual sports car was golden in color. It looked like it was made of gold and was so shining. Just by looking at this sports car, you can feel that the owner of this sports car must be a person of extraordinary status in NATO City. The spiritual sports car stopped in front of Chu Wei and others, and then a young man about 16 years old got out of the car. He was also dressed as a student and had the word NATO on his chest. This student was a student of NATO's Yiling Academy. Break. A spiritual car stopped behind the golden sports car. Two big men got out from the back. These two big men were dressed in tight clothes and had strong spiritual fluctuations around their bodies. Chu Wei's eyes moved slightly as he looked at the two big men. Both of them were about level 1 superpowers. Long Fang frowned as he looked at the two big men, and then looked at the student who got off the golden sports car at the beginning. Beside Long Fang, besides Chu Wei, there were other students from Taiyuan City who participated in the competition today, and of course, the white-bearded teacher Yang Xiao. When the students from Taiyuan City saw the two big men, they all felt a sense of pressure in their hearts. After all, the strongest among them was only level 9 in spiritual energy. Although two students were born with superpowers, they still felt pressure when facing masters at the level of real superpowers. Cough cough. Two coughs were heard at the scene. As soon as the two coughs appeared, the pressure brought by the superpowers disappeared immediately, just like their momentum and aura were destroyed at this moment. And the person who coughed was Yang Xiao with white beard. The two big men were slightly startled, and when they looked at Yang Xiao, their eyes were more solemn. They had just deliberately intimidated these students from Taiyuan City, in order to create prestige for their young master. But they didn't expect that their aura would be easily broken by an old man with a white beard. This old man is not simple. The two big men came forward together, came to the student who got off the golden sports car, and respectfully called, "Young master." All the students from Taiyuan City except Chu Wei were shocked. Oh my god, this student actually had two people at the realm of superpowers calling him young master. Super God system becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 167. At this moment, a young man from the Taiyuan City classmates walked towards the student. The young man had a charming smile on his face, as if he was seeing his own father. This young man was Mo Kongming. Mo Kongming approached and said respectfully, "Hello, Master Fudong, I am Mo Kongming, do you still remember me? My mother and I came to visit you not long ago. Remember?" Fudong said lightly and looked at a girl in the crowd opposite. This girl was Hua Mo Kongxiu from the cold class. There was naked desire in Fudong's eyes. Ever since he accidentally saw Mo Kongxiu's photo, he had wanted to conquer this cold flower. It happened that Mo Kongming and his mother found out about this matter, so they set up a bridge to hope that Mo Kongxiu could make an engagement with the young master of the Fu family. Of course, Mo Kongxiu's photos were spread by Mo Kongming's mother in NATO City in the hope of using Mo Kongxiu's beauty to create a good marriage. So when she heard that the young master of the Fu family, the first family in NATO, seemed to be interested in Mo Kongxiu, Mo Kongxiu's stepmother wanted to give Mo Kongxiu to him immediately to please him. After all, Mo Kongming's mother was originally from NATO City, so the reputation of the Fu family in NATO City was well known to her. Of course, she was so ingratiated with the Fu family for the sake of her son Mo Kongming, because with the support of the Fu family, his son would definitely have access to a lot of resources and could go to a better college to study. Mo Kongming saw Fudong's eyes and said majestically to Mo Kongxiu, "Kongxiu, you haven't come here to meet the young master of the Fu family. Don't you know that this is the young master of the Fu family that you are going to marry?" As soon as Mo Kongming's words came out, everyone in Taiyuan City except Chu Wei was shocked, including the principal Long Fang. Long Fang also didn't expect that the Mo Kongming family would actually be connected with the Fu family, the first family in NATO. In addition to being shocked, some of the female classmates secretly cast jealous glances at Mo Kongxiu from the corner of their eyes. In their opinion, it was such an honor for Mo Kongxiu to be attracted by the young master of NATO's first family. Because no matter how you look at this Fudong, he looks tall, rich, and handsome. I've said it before, I won't get married. If I want to get married, just marry your mother. Mo Kongxiu said angrily. Mo Kongming and his mother went too far, thinking that they didn't know that they, mother and son, only regarded themselves as chips for their prosperity and wealth. Mo Kongming was furious. He walked back from Fudong and said to Mo Kongxiu, Mo Kongxiu, you are so rebellious. My mother found such a good home for you and you are not grateful. You even cursed me. Look. I was really spoiled by you before you came here. Spoil me, Mo Kongxiu chuckled, your mother never gave you any training resources she had when you were a child. When your mother knew that I was a waste and couldn't practice cultivation, your mother wanted to kick me out, saying that my existence as a waste insulted you, Mo Kongming. Do you think I never heard these words once when you and your mother secretly said them? Mo Kongxiu asked loudly, with tears of grievance gathering in her eyes. Mo Kongxiu has always shown a cold appearance, as if she has no emotions no matter what happens. Today, this is the first time that she has tears. This shows how much she has been wronged in her heart. Mo Kongming was embarrassed for a moment, but then he hardened his face and said, no matter how much, you go and see Master Fu now, or I won't be able to spare you. As Mo Kongming spoke, he reached out and grabbed Mo Kongxiu's hand fiercely. He wanted to force Mo Kongxiu to see Fudong. Super God System becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 168. At this moment, a slender white hand grabbed Mo Kongming's hand that was grabbing Mo Kongxiu, and at the same time, a cold voice sounded, Mo Kongming, it seems that you have forgotten what I said to you before. I said that if you dare to yell in front of me in the future, I will make your body rotate 720 degrees in the air. This voice was cold and murderous, and it was Chu Wei. Then everyone saw that Chu Wei raised his hand and waved, and with a slap hit Mo Kongming's face hard. Mo Kongming's body was immediately whipped and rotated 720 degrees in the air before falling heavily to the ground. Looking for a slap. Chu Wei spit out two words lightly. Then Chu Wei looked at Fudong opposite him. He could feel that this Fudong came here to cause trouble for him this time. He had beaten the people of the Fu family. When Chu Wei looked at Fudong, Fudong's eyes were also looking at Chu Wei. The eyes of both of them were cold. A hostile atmosphere quickly heated up between the two. Everyone at the scene could feel this feeling. The two looked at each other, like two lions looking at each other from a distance. After a while, Fudong smiled contemptuously, and said, your name is Chu Wei, right? I know you, the peak level of the second level weapon refiner, the strength of the first level supernatural. The person who inquired reported that you are also a peak first level array carving master. Fudong spoke of Chu Wei's titles and achievements slowly, but the emotions in his eyes were completely different from those of other people who were shocked when they mentioned Chu Wei's titles. His eyes were still calm, and he continued, for someone with these achievements, you are probably a genius who is praised to the sky in a small place like your Taiyuan city. But, in my eyes, Chu Wei, you are just an unqualified trash. I know, you want to touch my woman, I will let you know that you will not have a good end. At this moment, Fudong seemed to have a kind of momentum, a momentum that no one who offends me will have a good end. This is a momentum accumulated over the years. This momentum is enough to prove that in this NATO city, people who offend Fudong never have a good end, and no one is an exception. For a moment, even the principal Longfang was surprised by this momentum. He could feel that Fudong on the opposite side was not simple. When Fudong was talking just now, there was a kind of spiritual fluctuation looming. This trace of spiritual fluctuation made him feel dangerous. This is enough to show that Fudong on the opposite side is very strong, and he may not even be his opponent. And he also knows all the strengths of Chu Wei. And after knowing it, he can still be so calm. This Fudong is not simple. Although he is arrogant, he has done a lot of homework beforehand. He has specially learned about Chu Wei. He is different from ordinary dandy young masters. He is smart. Fudong's momentum almost shocked everyone in Taiyuan City present, except Chu Wei of course. In addition to Chu Wei, the white-bearded Yang Xiao is also an exception, but when Yang Xiao looked at Fudong, his eyes were less casual and more serious. Haha, Chu Wei smiled, and then said disdainfully, "Do you know that you look like a certain kind of person in my eyes? You look like a clown. I remember that you were the first in the superpower battle today. Enjoy your first place. Tomorrow, I will beat you into a bear in the challenge." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God System becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 169. When Chu Wei's words came out, the people in Taiyuan City thought it was nothing. After all, Chu Wei was famous for his arrogance in Taiyuan City. But when these words fell into the ears of the two followers of Fudong on the opposite side, the two men were not calm, and they looked surprised. They couldn't believe that a person from a small Taiyuan city dared to talk to their Fu family's young master like this. This is really the first time in life. The two big men took a step and were about to teach this ignorant boy a lesson. But as soon as they moved, a murderous look came directly at them. The owner of this look was Chu Wei. Maybe even Chu Wei didn't notice that when he had been killing monsters and becoming stronger in the 9-story extreme tower these days, murderous intent had appeared in his eyes. It was a decisive momentum. Just like a lion that has grown from a little lion to a big lion after constant fighting. The two big men were shocked. At this moment, they actually felt cold hands and feet, as if they would die here in the next second if they made a move. This feeling made them feel fear for the first time. However, at this moment, Fudong waved his hand to block the two big men, signaling them not to interfere with his and Chu Wei's affairs. Fudong said, "Very good, this is the first time I have seen someone dare to be so arrogant in front of me, Fudong. Tomorrow, in the game tomorrow, I, Fudong, will see how you, Chu Wei, beat me, Fudong, into a bear. I'm waiting for you." Haha, Chu Wei sneered. Without saying much, he pulled Mo Kongxiu into the hotel. The rest of the people in Taiyuan City also entered the hotel under the leadership of the principal. Fudong also smiled coldly and drove away in his golden sports car. The two big men followed him. For a while, only Mo Kongming, who was knocked unconscious by Chu Wei, was left at the scene. No one cared about him at the scene. Finally, the security guards at the entrance of the hotel felt that he was blocking other customers like a dead dog, so they dragged him into the hotel like a dead dog. Then he was thrown into his own room. On the 20th floor of the hotel, Chu Wei sent Mo Kongxiu back to his room, and when Chu Wei was about to leave, "Can you stay and accompany me?" Mo Kongxiu turned her head and looked at Chu Wei at the door, with a tired and helpless expression in her beautiful eyes. At this moment, Mo Kongxiu was like a wounded deer. Chu Wei looked at Mo Kongxiu's tired and beautiful big eyes and nodded. Chu Wei walked over and sat next to Mo Kongxiu, and the two sat on the sofa in the hotel together. Mo Kongxiu sat on the sofa with her legs tightly clasped in her hands. She was in a very low mood, with her head against her legs, like a helpless little girl. Maybe anyone would collapse if they met such a brother and stepmother. If you don't want to marry, don't marry. If they dare to force you, I will beat them, Chu Wei said softly. Chu Wei still felt the same way about Mo Kongxiu as before. They were friends, but better than friends. They were lovers, but something seemed to be missing. It could be said that they were not quite lovers. Mo Kongxiu looked up at Chu Wei. In her beautiful eyes, she was grateful, and there was a warm feeling flowing in her heart. She smiled at Chu Wei, very happily, and then she leaned on Chu Wei's shoulder. Her beautiful cheek rested directly on Chu Wei's shoulder. At this moment, she closed her eyes, as if she had found a safe shelter in the wind and rain, allowing her to rest in peace. Super God System becomes infinitely stronger. Author, Xu Xiangzike. Chapter 170. Chu Wei looked down at Mo Kongxiu. Mo Kongxiu looked very nice sleeping on his shoulder. From this position, Chu Wei could just see her side face. Mo Kongxiu's appearance is really very good, her profile is very fair, and she has a cold quality. Girls with this trait are most likely to arouse the desire to conquer in some successful men, just like the young master Fu Dong of the Fu family. Fu Dong was attracted by Mo Kongxiu's cold qualities. Chu Wei didn't say anything next, and just let Mo Kongxiu lean against him quietly. Mo Kongxiu didn't say anything, just like a child, falling asleep on Chu Wei's shoulder. It was not until very late that Chu Wei put the sleeping Mo Kongxiu on the bed in the room, and then carefully covered her with the quilt. Then he turned and left the room. As soon as Chu Wei left, Mo Kongxiu, who was sleeping, opened her big eyes. She looked at the door where Chu Wei left, a little disappointed in her eyes. How she wished Chu Wei could always stay with her. It would be such a blessing to be able to lean on his shoulder all the time. Chu Wei returned to his room. Although it was almost 12 o'clock when he came out of Mo Kongxiu's room, Chu Wei didn't plan to go to sleep because he hadn't entered the 9-story Extreme Tower today. The Extreme Tower is open for 2 hours every day, and of course he will not miss any time every day. What's more, today is officially a confrontation with the Fu family, the first family in NATO. As the number 1 family in NATO, the Fu family's biggest support is the number 1 master in NATO City, Fu Hua, except that the city lord Fu Qinli who spoke at the competition today is from the Fu family. He is also the only person in the entire North City who has entered the realm of the Great Awakener. Fu Hua is the eldest elder in the Fu family and is also Fu Qinli's father. It is rumored that he is 120 years old and is very tyrannical. He is invincible in NATO City. He is the local emperor of NATO City. No one dares to mess with him. Fu Hua. Chu Wei squinted his eyes and whispered to himself, with murderous intent in his eyes, "If you dare to go against me, Chu Wei, then, I will use the self-destruction talisman to send you to the west." Although the self-destruction talisman can only be used once and is very precious, Chu Wei will not hesitate to use it when it is needed. No matter how good something is, its value can only be realized when it is used. Chu Wei entered the dream space. This time Chu Wei was going to enter the 4th floor of the 9-story Extreme Tower. As soon as he entered the entrance of the 3rd and 4th floors, Chu Wei was stunned by the sight in front of him. He saw that the 4th floor was the same as the 3rd floor, without any rooms. But it is different from the 3rd level. This 4th level is like the ruins of a huge royal palace complex. However, this palace is a dilapidated palace, with traces of fighting everywhere, and there are several huge transparent holes on the roof of the palace. It was like being penetrated by a huge laser gun of some high-tech weapon. In short, the entire palace complex is in dilapidated condition, just like the battlefield where the gods fought in the movie, leaving only the remains of the once glorious palace. Although Chu Wei was confused, he cautiously entered the dilapidated palaces. After walking for a while, Chu Wei put away his cautious mood because he did not find any monsters in the palace complex. Chu Wei frowned, and for a moment he didn't understand this 4th level. The first 3 levels are all about killing monsters and upgrading. What does this 4th level do?